Hey guys, I'm Jameson and this is Jamie, and welcome to episode number 3 of the Rogue HQ.
I don't know what we did in this episode, so I don't know how to carry on from there.
It's been a long time since we started the process of insulating our barn, and this is what we're going to cover in episode 3, is the insulation and tightening up and kind of creating that high performance building when it comes to HVAC and being able to control the air inside of the building.
Very well done.
You like that?
I did. You did great.
So the thing about it was that when we were spray foaming the inside of our house, Jamie just got a little carried away. And
it just looked like so much fun and nobody would let me do it. So we decided to do it in the barn ourselves.
We decided to take it on. So one step that I kind of overlooked during the building, or the structure of this building, was we didn't put in a vapor barrier on the outside shell of the structure. Well, like behind the metal, essentially. So we just did metal siding over top of the purlins and forgot to put in that vapor barrier. So we were able to actually achieve that by the spray foam as well. We used 2 inches of closed cell foam, which gives you that vapor barrier. And that was actually from a company called Touch and Seal, which is owned by our sponsor for this video, DAP.
So the first thing we had to do before we got to do the fun part of spray foaming was protect everything. So we went ahead and laid plastic on all of the flooring, all of the windows, and taped off our beautiful glass garage doors.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time polishing and grinding this floor, and you can go back to episode 2 and check that out if you want to, but we wanted to make sure that none of that spray foam landed on the floor.
Because it sticks to everything.
It does. So once we got all that material ordered, it showed up here, and we picked the pallet of that material, a bunch of these cans essentially that come, it's in 2 parts, there's a part A and part B, and we were able to bring that inside here and unwrap it and get ready to go. And
we also got the machine to be able to do the spray foam.
Yeah, so Touch and Seal actually offers, it's just a two tank part A, part B process as far as spray foam goes, and you hook a hose up to each one, and that goes through a nozzle that mixes those parts, and as it sprays out. These tanks are actually pressurized. However, as you get down to the bottom of the tank, the flow rate's a little bit different, and they were also kind enough to send us this system called the CPDS system, and what that stands for is Constant Pressure Dispensing System. That would be the S in CPDS.
Yep.
Anyway, the genius thing about this is it basically is hooked up to an air compressor, and it makes sure that you have a constant pressure that you're dispensing through your nozzle while you're spraying.
So not only was Touch and Seal kind enough to send us all the product for this project, but they were also sent us a couple guys to teach us what to do, since we've never spray foamed.
Like we said, we had never done this before, and while I thought I did enough research, it was nice to have somebody kind of unpack this machine with us and go through setting it up
through everything.
And make sure that we were doing it correctly, because spray foam is not one of those things that you want to screw up.
Pretty good flow rate. Pretty good flow rate. Pretty good flow rate. Pretty good flow rate. Pretty good flow rate.
So once we kind of have figured out what we were doing with this machine, we got all suited up. We wore those little full body suits We had little masks on, goggles,
The problem,
the whole works.
The problem with the spray foam process is that you have to actually have warmer temperatures, especially when we're spraying on a metal surface. We needed to make sure that the temperatures were warm, but not too warm.
Yes.
Or not in direct sunlight, I guess.
Yeah, so that was the hard part about when we did this. We did this, it was in the summer.
Yeah.
And our building is black, so we had to make sure that the metal was not too hot.
Yeah.
So I think there was one day where we actually had to run a sprinkler on the outside of the building to make sure we cooled down the metal enough before we went ahead and spray foamed on it.
Yeah, but overall it worked out pretty good. We started pretty early in the morning, and then once it got too hot outside, we just
But also with that is
day.
we are in full gear,
Yeah.
and it is hot, and when you spray foam, there's heat that is given off by the spray foam, so it is extra hot close to it. So we were just, it was awful. Like we were just drenched at the end of the day from this.
Luckily, we're in a big open building. There was a couple of areas up in here that we had to kind of climb into and get into a confined space. But overall, it was a big open building. We were able to put some plywood up in the rafters or up in the trusses to be able to walk on and get through the peak. We also had to fill the eaves so that everything essentially is connected. There's no venting of the eaves since we did a hot roof here. We also covered up the ridge vent, so there's no venting. When you do a hot roof, there's no venting that goes out the roof vent to the eaves. They don't have to connect. The other nice tool to have was we had a couple of flights of scaffolding that we were able to use as far as scooting around the building and getting part of the roof and then the walls and the higher parts that we weren't able to get to with a standard ladder.
Yeah, and it was definitely helpful to have a team of two doing it, because I would just spray and he would push the scaffolding or vice versa. The only part that you didn't do that I did the whole thing was the roof of the building, because I could not move these big sheets of plywood around, so I would spray and then you would push the plywood around there, which is also terrifying to be doing that.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Bam!
Bam. So there was a little bit of a rush to get the spray foam in because we had our Amish carpenters that were framing up the basement of the house and doing a couple of finishing things for us on the inside of the house as far as framing goes. And we were able to steal a couple of those guys away and get them to frame up the interior of this barn. So if you want to see the layout and everything, I think I published that in episode 1 of the Rogue HQ, so you can go back and check out how we laid out this building and how we plan on using it. I want to take a second to thank our sponsor DAP and Touch and Seal. If you're looking to create a more efficient home, I highly recommend spray foam products as a way of insulating and creating that airtight envelope for a higher performing house. Whether it's filling small gaps and cracks or insulating entire walls, they've got a product to suit your needs. So make sure you check them out at touchandseal.com. I'll put a link below in the description, but other than that, let's get back to it. So now that we've got some warmer temperatures and spring has come around, it's time to go ahead and seal up around all of the windows and doors, all those small gaps and cracks. And we're going to do so today with Touch and Seal's all-season polyurethane foam. And we're going to be using this in the gunned can, I guess you could call it. This is the sharpshooter gun. So this simply attaches to the top of that, and then we can adjust the flow rate and make sure we get it in those cracks just the way we want. So on the back of this gun, there's a little dial that you can dial in the flow rate of the polyurethane foam that's coming out of the gun. So I've got a scrap cardboard box here, and I'm just kind of testing, and I want to get a nice controllable flow rate. That way it's not coming out too fast and going all over the place. So throughout the process of spraying this foam as well as the foam for the ceiling and the walls, we want to make sure that our gun stays nice and clean. That way it sprays evenly and it's just a cleaner process. So they've got this product called PolyClean, and essentially what this does is it will clean up any polyurethane, and it just kind of dissolves it. So we're going to spray this on the tip of the gun and just clean up any polyurethane foam that is a problem area. So next on the list is going to be hooking up the radiant system, and I can't wait to get started on that. So stick around for the next episode. You like that? That was like a Dr. Dre
It was
reference.
definitely, yeah.